Starting seed. Substrate media. A wide range of materials can be used to start seeds, from plant vermiculite or mixtures of soils, substrates to the various embedded soil mixes. It should be rather fine and uniform, yet well aerated and loose. It should be free of insects, disease organisms, and weed seed. It should also be of low fertility or total soluble salts and capable of holding and moving moisture by capillary action. One mixture which supplies this factor is a combination of 1 of 3 sterilized soil, 1 of 3 sand or vermiculite or perlite, and 1 of 3 peat moss. The importance of using a sterile medium and container cannot be overemphasized. The home gardener can treat a small quantity of soil mixture in an oven, place the slightly moist soil in a heat-resistant container in an oven set at about 250 degrees F. Use a candy or meat thermometer to ensure that the mix reaches a temperature of 180 degrees F for at least 2 hours. Avoid overheating, as this can be extremely damaging to the soil. Be aware that the heat will release very unpleasant odors in the process of sterilization. This treatment should prevent damping of and other plant disease, as well as eliminate potential plant pests. Growing containers and implements should be washed to remove any debris and rinsed in a solution of 1 part chlorine bleach to 9 parts water. Next, containers. Flats and trays can be purchased, or you can make your own containers for starting seeds by recycling such things as cottage cheese containers, the bottom of milk carton or bleach containers, and pie pans, as long as good drainage is provided. Clay or plastic pots can be used, and numerous types of pots made of compressed peat and other biodegradable materials are also on the market. Multi-cell containers are packs where each cell holds a single plant. Reduce the risk of root injury when transplanting young plants. Peat pellets, peat or fiber-based blocks, and expanded foam cups can also be used for seeding. The downside to sowing seeds in individual cells or pellets is that they dry out faster than multiple seedlings sown in a flat or larger container. Part 2. Seeding. What is seeding? The proper time for sowing seeds for transplants depends upon when plants may safely be moved out of doors in your area. This period may range from 4 to 12 weeks prior to transplanting, depending upon the speed of germination, the rate of growth, and the cultural condition provided. A common mistake is to sow the seeds too early and then attempt to hold the seedlings back under poor light or improper temperature range. This usually results in tall, weak, spineless plants which do not perform well in the garden. Pregermination. Pregermination. Another method of starting seeds is pregermination. This method involves separating the seeds before they are planted. This reduces the time to germination, as the temperature and moisture are easy to control. A high percentage of germination is achieved since environmental factors are optimum. Lay seeds between the folds of a cotton cloth or on a layer of vermiculite in a shallow pan. Keep moist in a warm place. When roots begin to sow, place the seeds in containers or plant them directly in the garden. While transplanting seedlings, be careful not to break off tender roots. Continued attention to watering is critical. How to sow? Which crop you are growing determines how the seeds are sown. Some can be direct sown where they are to grow, others are sown in a seed bed and then transplanted to their final growing position. Others need to be sown indoors in pots of compost with heat. Fast-maturing crops should be sown little and often to prevent the growth of famine sickle that occurs when long rows are sown in one go. By sowing shorter rows at 10 to 40 day interval, you will harvest just the amount you need over a much longer period. Part 3. Germination. Germination will begin when certain internal requirements have been met. A seed must have a mature embryo, contain a large enough endosperm to sustain the embryo during germination, and contain sufficient hormones to initiate the process. In general, do not expect more than 65% to 80% of new seeds to germinate. From those germinating aspects, about 60% to 75% to produce satisfactory features study seedlings. There are four environmental factors which affect germination: water, oxygen, light, and heat. Water. The first step in the germination process is the imbibition or absorption of water. Light. Light is known to stimulate or to inhibit germination of some types of seed. The light reaction involved here is a complex process. Oxygen. In all viable seed, respiration takes place. The respiration in dormant seed is low is recurrent. The respiration rate increases during germination, therefore the seeds are less to be loose and will aerated. Temperature. A favorable temperature is another important requirement of germination. Some seeds will germinate over a wide range of temperatures, whereas others require a narrow range. Many seeds have minimum, maximum, and optimum temperatures at which they germinate. Seed sowing technique. Direct sowing. The vast majority of vegetables are grown by sowing the seed directly into the soil where they are to grow. To do this, you make a shallow trench called a drill with a bamboo can, hand, trowel, or corner of a hoe. Sow the seed directly into the drill and cover with soil that you have lightly fermented down. Always sow evenly and thinly to avoid excessive thinning out of the crop afterwards. Then water the soil after sowing. Seed sowing outdoors. The secret to success is to prepare a good seed bed free of weeds and with a crumble-like soil surface texture. Many vegetables, annuals, biennials, and herbaceous plants can be grown from seed outdoors. Sowing seed outdoors directly into final growing place is ideal for gardeners who do not have much room to raise a seed indoors and tries to propagators. You also don't need to start seed sowing as early in spring as when you sow outdoors. Problems. Breaking down of certain soils under heavy rain can cause a cup of hard, compacted soil that dries to a crust, through which seeds cannot emerge. Prevent this by covering seeds with potting media such as peat-free, multipurpose compost. Other problems include pigeons and other birds can be a pest where seeds are not covered with fleece. Occasionally, seedlings can fail to emerge or kill over soon after emergence in wet weather. This is known as dumping off. Like weeds, slugs, and snails, eating young seedlings can be a problem. Next, pollination and human livelihoods. Pollination is a keystone process in both human-managed and natural terrestrial ecosystems. It is critical for food production and human livelihoods, and directly linked with ecosystem with agricultural production systems. The vast majority of flowering plant species only produce seeds if animal pollinators move pollen from the anther to the stigmas of their flowers. Without this service, many interconnected species and processes functioning within an ecosystem would collapse. The absence of pollination can cause significant declines in quantity of produce, but evidence shows that absence of pollination also has negative effect on the quality of fruits and seed set. What is pollination? More diversity is better. The diversity of pollinator and pollination system is striking. Most of the 2,500 to 3,000 species of bees, Hymenoptera apidae, are effective pollinators, and together with moths, flies, wasps, beetles, and butterflies, make up the majority of pollinating species. Vertebrate pollinators include bats, non-flying mammals, several species of monkey, rodents, lemur, tree squirrels, olingo, and kinkajou, and birds, hummingbirds, sunbirds, honeycreepers, and some parrot species. Current understanding of the pollination process shows that while interesting specialist relationships exist between plants and their pollinator, healthy pollination services are best ensured by an abundance and diversity of pollinator. Pruning deciduous shrubs. Why prune shrubs? Why prune shrubs? Pruning is important for a variety of reasons. Pruning can help control the size of a shrub, direct growth, influence flowering or fruiting, rejuvenate old, overgrown plants, or maintain plant health and appearance. Pruning also encourages growth below the pruning cut. In addition to pruning, selecting shrubs that are suited to your environment and location are very important. The ultimate height, spread, and growth rate should be taken into account when selecting shrubs for landscaping. Type of pruning cuts. First, thinning. Second, heading back. Third, rejuvenation. Fourth, shearing. 5, pinching. And 6, dead heading. When I should prune my shrubs? First, broadleaf evergreens. Broadleaf evergreens require little pruning, must grow very slowly. If pruning does become necessary, selectively prune branches back to a side branch so that the foliage hits the pruning cuts. 2. Summer flowering shrubs. Summer flowering shrubs produce flower buds on new growth in the spring. Prune these shrubs when they are dormant or in early spring before bud break. Managing insect pests. Most insects found in gardens are not pests. Many are beneficial, preying on pests or performing other useful tasks. One of the most important strategies for dealing with insects is to learn about insect life cycle, behaviors, habitats, and diets, and to recognize which are pests and which are actually lending you a helping hand. Strategies usually works well to reduce damage caused by insect pests without harming beneficial insects. Grow vigorous, healthy plants, rotate crops, choose varieties carefully, practice good sanitation, check transplants, and pick pests, use barriers, time your plantings, use row covers, mulch with aluminum foil, use yellow sticky traps, take advantage of natural enemies, and if all else fails, consider pesticides. Thank you.